I can destroy the trade. I can destroy the country. I can do anything I want, but I can't charge $1.
What's up, Andy?
Not much, man. How you doing tonight?
I'm okay. I'm okay. Kind of
Yeah.
fighting something, but hanging in
Everybody's
there.
everybody's getting sick right now.
Yeah,
Did you have a really fun weekend though? Like, were you in a good mood, like an extra good mood all weekend?
not really.
I was. And it's symbolic. Trump's going to try to do the tariffs in a lot of different ways. But on Friday morning, we got breaking news involving the Supreme Court and the tariffs. I would like to let CNN be the one to tell us what happened real quick.
Okay.
We're interrupting Kevin at the White House because we have breaking news from the Supreme Court. It has reached a major decision. CNN Chief Legal Affairs Correspondent Paula Reed has the details. What's this case about, Paula?
This is one of the most significant cases that the justices have decided in recent years. Here, the Supreme Court ruling that President Trump's use of these emergency tariffs that he has implemented are illegal. It's the most significant economic case to reach the high court in years, sweeping implications for the economy and, of course, for presidential power. And at stake here are billions of dollars in revenue that have already been collected by the government. Pamela Wolf, the other significance here is that this is the first time that the 6-3 conservative court has ruled against President Trump in one of these major cases that have gone before the court since he returned to power in January.
That's good news.
So it's good, and we're going to talk about the different ways he's going to do it, but he's going to try to keep the tariffs on. But just the fact that the Supreme Court told him no, like. So I really was worried when this case went to the court. It should have been a 9-0 easy decision. The president doesn't have the power to add taxes. That should have been a week to decide, if that. The fact they sat around and thought about it for so long, I started to get really worried that they were going to let him do it, which is completely against what the Constitution says, right?
How long did it take him to decide?
I think since like October. I think roughly October is when it got argued, or maybe September.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Sometime in the early fall. So, and twice they were supposed to, this week we're going to get a tariff announcement. When we recorded our last show, like the last thing I said on it was, there's no way they're going to give us a tariff announcement tomorrow. And then sure as heck, I wake up the next morning and they did it. So congratulations to 6 of the members of the court. It was a 6-3 ruling. 3 justices said that Trump does have the power to do this. And we're going to talk real quick about the different opinions. First of all, the opinion itself was written by John Roberts, who's a Republican, but he's kind of the swing vote Republican. Like he'll go back and forth. He's the head of the Supreme Court. There's a name for that. I can't remember what it is. He's the Chief Justice. His beginning of his opinion says the power to impose tariffs is very clear, a branch of taxing power. And he goes on to say basically that tariffs are a tax, which we know that it's a tax on the American people, but Trump is trying to argue that it's not and that he should have the power. Very clear. It's Article 1, Section 4 of the Constitution that Congress has the power of the purse. Like that's
Well, you just go like who pays the tariffs?
and that's
It's
an argument right there because
the companies pay the tariff and then they pass that on to the consumer.
and if you want to just get really strict with the definition, who pays the tariff? The importer does on the American side. So there's a company that imports it and has to pay the tariff at that point. Now, how they pass along the tariffs, do they eat it all? Well, it turns out they eat a couple percent of it, and then the business can choose to eat part of it or not, or they can pass it all to the consumers. Bottom line is it's almost entirely getting paid on the American side. The only argument you could make is that sometimes the foreign company will say, "Ooh, we got hit with this tariff. What we'll do is we'll drop our price a little bit to help compensate you for the tariff." That has happened before. It does not appear to have really happened much with this round of tariffs from Trump, but in the past it has happened.
Right.
So we had that. Roberts basically said a tariff is a tax. President doesn't have the power to tax, which is black and white in the Constitution. The other 5 that agreed with him, 3 of them were Democrats, and they just kind of went along with the Constitution. Amy Coney Barrett went along with the Constitution, and then Neil Gorsuch. I didn't pull it, but his concurring opinion kind of was scorching all the other justices. He basically said to the Democrats, you're just voting against Trump. If this was a Democrat president, you probably would have allowed it. Kind of said that thing. And then to the 3 Republicans that voted for it, he was like, he basically said, you guys are ridiculous. You claim to be for the Constitution, and this is clearly not what the Constitution says. So you guys are just doing whatever Trump says. Like, he said it a lot nicer than that, but he torched everybody else on the Supreme Court, basically, in his opinion. So it was kind of neat that he did that.
Okay.
And then Alito, Kavanaugh, and Thomas. Alito and Thomas basically said that the president's a king. They didn't say this directly, but their opinion was basically the president has the ultimate power and he gets to do whatever he wants. That was kind of what they said. Kavanaugh kind of agreed that, yeah, he shouldn't have done this. But at this point, if we undo the tariffs, it's going to be a mess to try to pay everybody back who they owe money to. And just because of what a big mess that's going to be, we should let the tariffs stay on.
Hold on. I'm pretty sure like our whole system, the way we set up our entire system was so that we didn't have a king.
Yeah, that's the whole point of the checks and balances. And
so we have 2 rogue judges on the Supreme Court that think that the president is king.
Yes. And
now, did they say that when Biden was in office?
Oh, no. And Biden tried to do student loan forgiveness. And because that had to do with financial stuff, they said, no, the president doesn't have the power to do that. It would have to go through Congress, which is true. They were correct on that with Biden, but they're not applying the same standards to each president, which I think here's the thing. There was a bit of truth to what Gorsuch was saying on both sides, like attacking the Democrats and the Republicans. He wasn't lying. It was just interesting to see somebody call them out from the court. So.
And like the whole point of having judges is to interpret the Constitution.
Yes, and that should be all they're doing is reading the Constitution and saying yes or no, calling balls and strikes. That's what they're supposed to be doing. How Alito and Thomas decided that no, the president does have the power to do this. Like, they clearly don't care about, and they're the ones that claim that they're like fundamental constitutionalists. Like they rely on the Constitution for all their decisions, but they clearly don't. There was somebody on Fox News over the weekend that was arguing that it wasn't meant to be 3 equal branches of government. Like that, clearly that's stupid. That's never what the founders intended. And it's like, that's one of the first lines, like 3 separate but equal branches, like checks and balances. That's the whole fucking point. Like, I don't know. And as the person, I don't remember who it was, but as they were saying it, like the 2 or 3 people working for Fox that were sitting on the couch were just nodding along, like, "Yep, that checks out." And it's like, nobody's going to push back on this. Like, I was about to lose my mind, so I didn't pull that. I do have too many videos for tonight, but the tariffs came out at like 8:30 in the morning. I tried to call you immediately. I knew you'd be asleep. I was so mad at you for not being awake and talking to me about this because I was so excited. But then Trump announced pretty early on that he was going to have a press conference at like noon on Friday to talk about this. Also, he was in a meeting with the governors when it broke, and I guess he was talking on stage, and somebody came onto stage and like whispered in his ear and told him, and apparently he went into like a profanity-laced like rant about the judges and how they're screwing him, like in front of all the governors. So we don't have video of that, but apparently that happened. He calmed down a little bit. He comes out for his press conference. I could have pulled the whole thing. It was long. I tried to just pull the important parts. But he started off by saying that he was ashamed of certain members of the Supreme Court, the 3 Republicans that voted with the Democrats. He's ashamed of. He said their family should be ashamed of them. Like he was pretty mad. He praised Kavanaugh, Thomas, and Alito. He said for strength and wisdom and love of country, they had the courage to do what was right, which. They had the courage to ignore the Constitution and do whatever Trump says. Like, I guess that's what he's congratulating them for. So, and side note to all this, the State of the Union is in 2 or 3 days. And normally, not all, but normally most of the Supreme Court comes to it and sits in the front row. There's this fun thing that happened back in 2010 when Citizens United happened, where Obama made a comment during the State of the Union that he didn't like their decision on Citizens United, which turns out he was very correct on. And Republicans and everybody was just going nuts about it. They're like, oh, he attacked the Supreme Court in front of the whole nation and this and that, and how unpresidential that is. I can't wait to see how Trump's going to react to the Supreme Court. You know he's going to say something to them, and it's going to be a lot more than what Obama said. But anyhow,
I'm not looking forward to that.
We're going to have to watch it. Yeah, we got to watch it so we can talk about it. But I know. I know there's a lot of Dems that are not going, and in fact, they're trying to counter program it. Midas Touch is doing something where they got a couple big names. I think they got Adam Schiff. I don't remember who else, but so they're going to be running their own programming live while the State of the Union is happening. I never liked that. Like, I think everybody needs to watch Trump speak. Like, we've talked about this a lot, but there's a lot of Trump voters that never sit through a full rally. Like, Fox purposely does not show them when he's being crazy.
Trump.
And yeah, and like I think you should force Americans to watch this so that the people that normally kind of don't pay attention have to sit through a full hour of Trump and see what he's really like. But anyway, that's my view on it.
How many Democrats aren't going to go?
I don't know. I've seen a list of a couple big names. I don't know. I'm guessing there's probably smaller names too, but Schiff was the main big name that I saw. I think he's the biggest name that's not going to do it. So
Okay.
I think they should show up. I'll say if all the Democrats didn't go, I would think that's a bad idea. So it normally you have one or two on either side that like I'm not going, blah blah blah, and they throw a big stink, and it happens all the time. But
Sure.
if like a large amount of the Dems didn't go, I would think that's dumb personally.
Yeah.
So anyhow,
Yeah. I don't know. I mean, I do like the idea of protesting anything Trump does.
you know. Remember when Nancy Pelosi, after one of his State of the Unions, like everybody stood up to clap and she stood up and ripped his speech up? Like, I still don't know how I feel about that because there was a part of me at the time that was like, yeah, but also it's like, okay, there's a certain amount of like decorum that we need to have here. So I'm torn on if I liked that or not.
Well, it feels even more fitting today. Like,
Yeah.
she was right. And I mean,
It's going to be Hakeem Jeffries sitting behind him. Like Jeffries and Mike Johnson sitting behind him. So
he's not going to do anything.
Yeah.
Jeffries is so feckless.
yeah, I think he's going to do something, but it's not going to come off well. Like he's going to try to do a Nancy Pelosi moment, and it's going to be made fun of by the left and right for how dumb it was. So, anyhow, in Trump's press conference, he whined a lot. I'll say this. He was at the same time saying that this was a terrible decision that was going to hurt America, but then also, this is totally fine. I've got all these other tariff options I have, and really these other ones are better, so they're doing me a favor. Like that was kind of that was the Jekyll and Hyde of his press conference. Like,
Yeah.
they're trying to hurt America, but actually they did me a favor. Like it was kind of back and forth.
Well, I'm still waiting on my $2,000, my tariff checks.
So now he can blame the Supreme Court for the fact that we're not going to get our tariff checks. So, and the issue of will there be refunds or not is interesting. We're going to get to that in a second. But here's a quick little I gave one little sample of Trump complaining about the decision. This is from Friday morning.
Can't charge $1. I would have used 1 penny, but we don't make the pennies anymore. We save money. Can't charge $1 to any country under IEPA. Not $1. I assume to protect other countries. This must have been done to protect those other countries, certainly not the United States of America, which they should be interested in protecting. That's what they're supposed to be protecting. But I am allowed to cut off any and all trade or business with that same country. In other words, I can destroy the trade. I can destroy the country. I'm even allowed to impose a foreign country destroying embargo. I can embargo. I can do anything I want, but I can't charge $1. Because that's not what it says. And that's not the way it even reads. I can do anything I want to do to them, but I can't charge any money. So I'm allowed to destroy the country, but I can't charge them a little fee. I could give them a little 2-cent fee, but I cannot charge under any circumstances. I cannot charge them anything.
I think his brain is broken.
Dude, so the scariest part is like several times throughout that, he said, I can do anything I want. Like, basically, I'm the president. I can do whatever I want. He said way back over the summer, he said, if the president doesn't, it's not illegal. Like, which Nixon said the same thing. But that's scary right there. Also, he still doesn't seem to grasp. Like at the very basic point of this is that tariffs are a tax on the American people, and the power to tax lays solely with the Congress. Like that's, if you boil all this down, that's what it is. He can't do anything that is considered a tax to the Americans without getting Congress to approve it. If these tariffs are such a good idea, and if they're so good for America, then surely he should be able to get Congress to vote for that, right?
Hmm.
He couldn't even get the Republicans in Congress and the Senate to vote for it. Most of them wouldn't, and that's why they've been smart about this and they've never put it up for a vote, because it's a scary vote. Like Johnson and John Thune in the Senate are protecting Republicans from having to vote on this. They never want this to come to the floor. So
Yeah.
anyhow, we had that. The other interesting part of this, I'm harping on this, and a couple different people online are. Maybe you'll think it's not a big deal, but I'm very curious about one thing he said in his press conference. Look at this real quick.
Others think they're being politically correct, which has happened before far too often with certain members of this court. And it's happened so often with this court. What a shame. Having to do with voting in particular. When in fact they're just being fools and lapdogs for the rhinos and the radical left Democrats, and not that this should have anything at all to do with it. They're very unpatriotic and disloyal to our Constitution. It's my opinion that the court has been swayed by foreign interests and a political movement that is far smaller than people would ever think. It's a small movement. I won by millions of votes. We won in a landslide. With all the cheating that went on, there was a lot of it, but we still won in a landslide. Too big to rig. But these people are obnoxious, ignorant, and loud. They're very loud. And I think certain justices are afraid of that. They don't want to do the right thing. They're afraid of it.
So he said there are two things. He said, one, that they were being disloyal to the Constitution. So that's calling the Supreme Court traitors. That's the way I read that. But disloyal to the Constitution. And then he said that they are the victims of foreign influence, or they're under foreign influence. I'm trying to remember how he said it. But hold on. That's like, if any other president said that about the Supreme Court, that would be all we're talking about. Trump throws out shit like this all the time. So that kind of got bypassed a little bit. And as I was watching it, I kept kind of stopped. I was like, hold on, wait, is anybody going to ask a follow-up on that one? Like, what are we doing? And to the reporter's credit, I think 3 of them in total, when he answered questions afterward, there were 3 that tried to ask him, what did you mean by foreign influence? Like, do you have evidence of this? And he dodged it the first 2 times. He dodged it all 3 times. First 2 times, he totally just didn't answer that question. The third time, I actually pulled the clip of the third time because this is the closest he got to giving us any kind of an answer on it. At least he addressed it. So let's watch this and we'll talk about it.
Mr. President, you mentioned multiple times foreign influence over the Supreme Court. Do you have evidence of that? And if not, will you investigate that?
You're going to find out.
That's it?
You're going to find out, which I guarantee you, this is just going to go away. We're never going to find out. There's so many other things to talk about that nobody's ever going to go back in a couple of weeks and be like, hey, sir, when are we going to find out? But like, that's, to me, like, we can't pass that over. He's saying that the Supreme Court are traitors that are listening to a foreign influence. That's huge. Like,
you think he kind of puts the Democrats in a foreign influence, in the bucket of a foreign influence?
I don't think he's talking about the Democrats there, because he said a couple times that, like, oh, the presidents of these foreign countries are dancing in the streets. They're so happy the Supreme Court did what they wanted. Oh. So he truly thinks that, like, he thinks he is in an economic war with all these other countries, and the Supreme Court is on their side. Like, that's how he looks at it.
But he started the war.
Oh, he is, but also he doesn't have the power, which let's also say that when it comes to Iran and Venezuela, he doesn't have the power to start any war. But he also doesn't have the power to start a war of taxation, because that's explicitly laid out in the Constitution. So it's also explicitly laid out that the president doesn't have the power to start a war without Congress's approval. But we've all just given up on that for the last 26 years. Like, ever since September 11th, we've decided that the president can do militarily whatever he wants, and Congress is never going to stop him.
What did the UK do today?
The UK said that they're not going to allow us to use their bases, their air bases, for any attacks on Iran. That actually, I think they said that yesterday, but it's been talked about all day today.
Oh, I thought they made a trade statement today too.
Oh, they said that they're pondering not ratifying the trade deal I said 5 or 6, but I think it's actually like 13 trade deals that we have a framework of, 13 different countries. None of them have been ratified. They have to be ratified by our Congress, most importantly, and they haven't even started that process. But also, like in Europe, for example, I think it was European Union, like the European Union has to get together and vote to ratify it. And none of that's happened. So this is just a handshake right now, framework of a deal. And
So we
Okay,
don't have any trade deals with anybody.
we have 13 frameworks, and this is kind of important, real quick.
Trump's flat rate tariff winners and losers.
So because he had random tariffs, like he had a huge tariff on Brazil, China, and India, but now he's switched to he's using a couple different things, but the main one is Section 122, which allows him to do a 15%. He said 10% on Friday, but then he switched it to 15% on Saturday, I believe. So, but 15% is the most he can do. But because of that, China, so any number going to the right of the line means it's a good thing for that country. And if it's going to the left of the line, it's a bad thing. So Brazil went from like a 55% tariff down to a 15%. So like this helps Brazil, China, India,
Oh,
Canada, Mexico, Vietnam, all the countries that he was hitting the hardest. This is awesome for because like Brazil just went from 55 to 15. China went from what were they sitting at like 45 or 50%, I think.
yeah.
Now they're at 15. Now other countries that we had already had a deal with, like the UK, Italy, Singapore, France, down at the bottom of the list. Like say we had a deal with them and it would only be a 5% tariff or something like that.
Yeah.
Well, Trump just made it 15 across the board. So they had a deal. We had a framework of a deal that both sides need to vote on. And now Trump basically wiped that clean and said, nope, 15% for everybody. Okay, well, if that's the deal, we're not going to sign your deal. Like you changed your offer.
This is he's such a baby.
Yeah,
He's such a child.
throws
Oh, I don't get my way, then I'm going to punish everybody in the world. 15%.
pretty much. So, anyhow, that's what he's doing.
What the fuck?
And real quick, Section 122. There's a guy Neil Catal. I think that's how you say his last name. But he argues in front of the Supreme Court all the time, pretty much for the Democrats. But Trump said he was going to use Section 122, and Neil said, "Seems hard for the president to rely on the 15% statute, Section 122, when his DOJ, in our case, told the courts the opposite. No, this is a quote from. This is what the government told the courts." Nor does 122 have any obvious application here, where the concerns the president identified in declaring an emergency arise from trade deficits, which are conceptually distinct from balance of payment deficits. So it turns out, in order to enact Section 122, you have to have what's called a balance of payment deficit. Not even going to pretend I really know what this means, but I Googled it, read some AI summaries on it.
Yeah.
BOP is often confused. BOP means a balance of payment. So a balance of payment deficit is often confused with a trade deficit. But a BOP includes all economic transactions, including financial capital flows. It's basically when a nation is spending more on foreign goods and services than it's earning. So there has to be a balance. A trade deficit is flat out goods. We send them a certain amount of goods, they send us. A BOP means just total money flowing between the countries. And because we're a service economy, so a lot of what we do is in the service sector. So we don't have a balance of payment deficit with any country out there. And that's what Section 122 relies on. So that's what he's using. It's going to get challenged immediately. And this one, again, is black and white. It should be a real quick decision that he can't use Section 122. I think the Democrats should let him do it. And hear me out on this, okay? Don't even challenge it. Let him do it. It's 15. The way that Section 122 works, it's a 15% tariff that he can only put on for 150 days. And at 150 days, Congress has to vote on whether to extend them or to end them. So this will force a vote on Trump's tariffs in late August, a month and a half before the midterms.
Ooh.
That's the scariest thing Republicans could ever imagine, because if they vote for the tariffs, people in their districts are going to be upset because now you voted to make these taxes on us legit. Or if they vote against the tariffs, now Trump's going to be attacking them 6 weeks before the midterms. Let him do it. I dare them to go with Section 122. I think the Democrats need to get out of the way and let him do this. And there will be a vote in, I think, like I said, mid to late August of this year on the tariffs.
So if he does a Section 122, does he have to sign something? Is it just like a?
Yeah, I think he tweeted over the weekend that he actually signed it, but it doesn't go into effect till Monday or Tuesday.
Oh, so he's actually putting it through. Okay.
And he's doing it now. It's going to, like I said, they're going to challenge it. I say don't. I say don't. I want them to vote on this. This is a gift to Democrats if he gets to do this. So don't try to stop him. Don't go to the court.
What does the challenge look like?
The challenge would be real easy. You just have to take in Section 122 is a written document, and it says very clearly that there has to be a balance of payment deficit in order for the president to enact it. There is very clearly not a balance of payment deficit with any country out there. So, like, this is even more black and white somehow than the original tariff Supreme Court case. Like, this should get struck down immediately. But then we never get our vote. Let's do a vote. Let's do a vote. Come on. I want to do it.
So either way we win, we could take the quick, easy win now, or we could take a big win in August.
So, and I thought, honestly, that this was going to be a win for Trump. And I've told you this a couple times, but like the tariffs are hurting the economy. If the Supreme Court strikes down the tariffs and Trump doesn't put on new tariffs, the stock market will go up. The GDP will go up. Like everything will go up. It's almost them saving him from himself. And then he can whine and moan about the Supreme Court and this and that. But at the same time, the economy will start doing better. People, if the tariffs went away, just consumer confidence would go up. Even without seeing the prices change at the store, people would just feel like, oh, sweet, the tariffs are off. Things are going to be cheaper now. It's a mindset thing. The prices probably wouldn't go down.
Here's where his ignorance really comes into play is he just sees the tariffs as him collecting money into the economy, right? And he's also like, he basically pays himself out whenever he wants. He's got this court case where he's going to pay himself out. He's like taking our money. What did he do? Oh, his peace board. He's paying
the Board of
the
Peace
board $1 billion out of that, and that goes directly to his account.
10 billion is what
10 billion.
Yeah. And that's
I think he really wants to beat Elon Musk.
I think he's trying to be I think he wants to be the king of the world. I mean, that's what it comes down to. He wants to rule the world. But
he doesn't see like if like the American citizens are doing well and prosperous, he doesn't see that as good for him. He only sees that as a detriment to him. So like they're doing well means I could be doing better if they were hurting. That's kind of how he looks at this whole thing. He doesn't see the a rising tide lifts all ships.
For him, everything is a zero-sum game. Like there has to be a winner and a loser. There's no such thing as everybody wins. Like he doesn't believe in that. I think this is a problem where he's been a very rich millionaire, billionaire type guy forever. I'm skeptical of whether he was a billionaire or not, but he played it. He presented himself.
Pretended.
He presented himself as a billionaire. He's got Bessent and Lutnick and all these other billionaires around him. He's got Elon and Bezos. Like there's too many billionaires around him, and I think this is just a case of being extremely out of touch with what like middle America is feeling. And what's weird is the people in middle America think he's their champion. Like he knows us and he's fighting for us. But I think this is just a clear-cut case of they don't have their finger on the pulse at all. And they look at the stock market and they're like, oh, great. If the stock market's up, that helps everybody. No, that's not the case at all. No. But they don't get that. So
yeah. And he's a terrible businessman. Kyle Kalinske was showing, I guess it's a documentary on Trump. I don't know how old it is, but they were talking about how when his casino went bankrupt, that's kind of like the lowest point of his career, right?
Yeah.
Everything was kind of falling out from under him, and he was so bankrupt. The banks did not want to do business with him, but they had a choice to make. They could cut him off for money and just like cut ties and say, okay, this guy's not worth the money he has, or we could keep all these buildings with his name on it open. Because if we don't have his name on it, they're basically going to be evicted buildings, right? There's not going to be anybody in the buildings. It's going to be, or we could keep his name on it and keep the buildings open. And they gave him like a $450 million a month or $450,000 a month allowance.
Dang. So, and that's where after his casinos all went down, and he talks about this, and his sons have talked about this, like they couldn't get loans from the American banks to start new ventures, but there was one bank, it's Deutsche Bank, which is, I hear their name a lot. I don't know a lot about Deutsche Bank, but they're prevalent when it comes to a lot of Trump stuff. And there were emails that came out during his first term where they were basically saying like, hey, we shouldn't give this guy a loan. This is a terrible risk. He's declared bankruptcy 7 times, this and that. And then somebody at the top was overriding them and telling them. And there's a whole theory of whether there was some Putin-Russia connection there. I don't know if that's ever been proven.
Epstein.
This, which, by the way, we learned in recent emails that came out that Epstein was acting as a financial advisor for Putin, which just this whole circle of the world elite. Anyhow, we'll talk about that
Yeah.
later. But like I was saying, back to this. Trump could have taken a victory here. He could have complained about it, but he could have just said, well, we can't do tariffs. And then the economy would start to go up right now, and it would keep going up all the way into the midterms. And if he was smart, he would just ride that. He's not going to do it. They even tweeted out this was on Friday. They tweeted out, keep calm and tariff on, the whole chive thing from the official White House account. So they're not going to take the win here. Also hysterically on Friday. This is my favorite Trump thing in a while. You remember back in the day, there's audio of Trump used to call in to different shows, like he would call reporters. And do you remember the name that he would use when he would call in?
Something Barron.
John Barron.
John Barron.
And it's so clear that it's Trump, okay?
Yeah.
C-SPAN runs like a live call-in show during the afternoon. And on Friday, they got a call. And this is either a really good Trump impersonator or Trump went back to his old roots of being John Barron. You listen, you tell me if this is Trump or an impersonator.
John in Virginia, Republican. Let's hear from you.
Well, this is John Barron, and this is the worst decision you've ever had in your life, practically. Jack's going to agree with me, right? But this is a terrible decision. And you have Hakeem Jeffries, he's a dope, and you have Chuck Schumer, who can't cook a cheeseburger. Of course these people are happy. But true Americans will not be happy. And you have the woman earlier, I assume she's a woman, she's a Democrat, but she said she's disgraced. She's devastated.
All right, John.
This.
We'll go to Chester, who's in Baton Rouge, Louisiana, Democratic caller.
So they cut him off there. I don't think that was really Trump, but
No.
I thought that was funny that somebody.
That is pretty funny.
Somebody
Somebody
jumped
with a decent impersonation of Trump, but he was like, it sounded like him when he was younger.
Yeah, it did. But
His voice is a lot raspier and older sounding now.
whoever decided to call into C-SPAN and do that, I give them applause. That was very comical.
Yes,
So
yes.
good job to them. The other thing is, you know how there's just complete and total, like, obvious corruption coming from this administration that sometimes is almost too obvious where you're shocked by it. It's hard to be shocked, but sometimes you still see it.
Yeah.
So they asked Trump about the refunds because the Trump administration in previous court filings on this case to the Supreme Court has said, well, yeah, if the tariffs are ruled unconstitutional, we'll have to pay everybody back and that'll be a mess. So they've said several times. Now, the Supreme Court, in their opinion, never directly said that the government has to pay everybody back. I think they might have just assumed that's obvious because the Trump administration has said that themselves in all these filings. Kavanaugh was the only person that brought up the whole paying people back when he said it would be a mess. That's the only thing. So they asked Trump if there was going to be refunds to all the importers. And the key thing to know is this is never going to refund down to me and you. Like, the refunds will go to the importers because they're the ones that actually wrote the check to the Treasury Department. And then they could choose to either keep that money or to give that money back they'd have to, the calculations are going to be ridiculously hard to do, but give that back to the companies that bought the stuff.
Yeah.
And then those companies, I guess, could decide to give to do big sales on things to kind of, because they could never go back and pay back the customer individually, go through receipts and refund us. That's never going to happen. But it's never going to trickle down to us at all.
Of course not.
Yeah.
Of course not. It never is.
Never.
They fuck over the low-hanging fruit every time.
Yes, but Scott Bessent was on the Sunday morning shows, and they asked him about this, and he said, well, the lower courts are going to have to decide that. Like, and I agree with him. I think the Supreme Court should have said something about that in their decision, but his thing was, well, they didn't. That's their fault, so now the courts are going to have to get back involved with this. So, true, they are. It turns out, and this is pretty fun, so this says, Trump's Commerce Secretary loves tariffs. His former investment bank is taking bets against them. And it's not just his former investment bank. A subsidiary of Cantor Fitzgerald, which Lutnick ran, which is run by the sons of the U.S. Commerce Secretary, Howard Lutnick, is letting clients essentially bet that President Donald Trump's tariffs will be struck down in court. I read the whole article, and basically they're buying the debt, the potential debt, for like pennies on the dollar. So now all these companies that would be due a refund have sold, not all, but a lot of them have sold that potential money to this investment bank, which now that bank can sue the government on their behalf and they get to keep that money. So they basically purchased the debt. So it's almost like they're shorting it. I don't know if that makes sense.
Yeah.
But, so there's one company that
Well,
was.
is it kind of like the guy who bet on the streaker at the Super Bowl and then did his own streaking? It's kind of like that, right?
Seems like it. So yeah.
Yeah.
So there's one investment firm that is going to make bank off this Supreme Court ruling, and that firm is run by Howard Lutnick's sons. That seems incredibly corrupt.
Yeah. Every week we find out about a new corruption within the administration. I mean, they're just sucking money wherever they can. It is insane.
Agreed. To end on tariffs real quick, my favorite economist, Justin Wolfers, I got a quick clip from him, but he's going to set up what I want to talk about next here.
The whole point of tariffs was to reduce trade deficits, and yet big jump in the deficit from November to December, but also, quite a large jump in imports for the whole year. Does this show that tariffs have failed?
Hey, Jim, I just want to take you back about a year ago when President Trump announced the idea of tariffs to address the trade deficit. And every economist around the country said, that's a very bad idea. That won't work. There's been a lot of ups and downs over the year, but if you look at 2025 as a whole, we have basically the same trade deficit, maybe a little bit bigger than it previously was. So, going to score this one for the economists, mate.
Yeah.
The reason I want to play that. Sorry, go ahead.
I have a quick question for you.
Go for it.
Let's just go back 10 years, 15, 20 years.
Okay.
Did you ever think you would ever say the phrase, my favorite economist?
Never. Yeah. I have a favorite economist, a favorite constitutional lawyer. It's ridiculous. Like when it comes to constitutional lawyers, like Neil Cattell, Mark Elias,
Elias is great. Yeah.
These are people I never thought I would have an opinion on. But yeah, here we are. That guy's
pollsters, favorite pollsters.
I have pollsters I like. So this is definitely not where I expected to be in my life.
Yeah, I guess here's 40.
Yeah, oh God. But he's so right there. And like when he said, let's go back a year and a half when he said, I'm going to do tariffs to bring prices down and help balance the trade deficit. Everybody that knows even the slightest little bit about how economics work said, hey, that's not going to work at all. In fact, it's probably going to have the opposite impact on both counts. It's going to raise prices and grow the deficit. And that's exactly what it's done. This wasn't like, oh, well, some economists agree this and some economists actually think, no, like 100%. Any economist was like, that's not what this is going to do. And here we are, and it hasn't done it. And Trump, there's some video montages going around, but he kept saying, oh, he's going to do it on day one. He's going to bring prices down. On day one, he's going to do this. Then he got in office and he said, well, we took over a disaster. It's going to be summer before anything. And he kept saying summer for a couple of months, and then it hit summer. And then he said, by the start of 2026. And now, just recently, twice in like the last week, he said next year. When 2027 hits, that's when we're really going to see the effects of all this. So he's just going to keep pushing. He thinks
we're stupid. He thinks we're just, everybody's dumb.
It's insulting. It's very insulting. And on top of that, GDP, which that's his big thing, is, he's going to have a rocket high GDP. GDP came in on Friday.
Ooh.
And this, it was a bad Friday morning for Trump because at first the GDP came in and then like a half an hour later, the Supreme Court decision hit. So he was in a mood. This is all while he's meeting with the governors. Scott Bessent was on Fox and it wasn't even Fox and Friends. It was Will Cain's show. But they asked him about the GDP. By the way, it came in at 1.4%. The actual economists were predicting about 3 to 3.5. It was something like that. Trump was saying it's going to be 5%. Like he just had a feeling it was going to be 5%. 1.4. And just for the record, that meant our total GDP for 2025 was 2.2%. 2024 under Biden was 2.8%. So GDP fell 0.6%. In 2023, it was 6.3%. But that's when the economy was really fully coming back from COVID. So Biden was president, but that's kind of that was having to do with COVID.
But overall, we were doing well he was doing well. He was doing better than every other country in the economy, like growing the economy back from the
The
pandemic.
American recovery, we've said this before, but the American recovery was better than every other developed nation. We did the best at handling inflation. We did the best at handling the supply chain. Like we did pretty good. But GDP fell 0.6% for the entire year under Trump's first term. The trade deficit grew a little bit. There's probably a lot of things we could blame for this. Who do you think they're going to blame?
Biden.
No, not Biden, just Democrats in general.
Oh, Democrats. Okay, yeah.
Let's watch Scott Bessent real quick.
If we don't have to.
On the note of growth, does it concern you then that the fourth quarter GDP just came in the ones? Was it 1.4%? And I know that's noisy. I know it's short term, but is that concerning for you on your GDP aspiration?
What's concerning for me is the Democrats' willingness to crash the economy to make a ridiculous point. So,
how long can they blame the Democrats?
Well, and like if you look at what's going on with the economy right now, like it's real clear. There's several factors, but like tariffs are a huge one. Giving the billionaires and corporations a big tax cut, big one. Medical costs going up. That's definitely hurting the economy. We eliminated most of the migrant workforce. Like they've either been deported, arrested, or they fled back to their country. That's hurting construction. That's hurting agriculture. I'm trying to think here. Pretty much everything. Why I can't figure out how they would put this on Democrats. Like Trump is imposing his economic plan on the country, whether we like it or not.
Yeah.
It's not going well. And they're saying the Democrats are doing everything they can to torpedo the country. I guess maybe they mean by fighting the tariffs and getting the Supreme Court to follow the Constitution. I don't know. And real quick, on the point of just mismanaging the economy, I saw this is in the Washington Post. Trump aides struggle with how to spend $500 billion more on the military. The White House budget chief was among those who internally objected to the defense secretary's plan to increase the military spending by roughly 50%. People familiar with the matter said, if you remember, Pete Hegseth and Trump came up with the idea, we spend $1 trillion a year on the budget for the Pentagon. They said they want to raise it to 1.5 trillion. So Trump already said he's going to do this. Go ahead.
It was at like 750 or 800 billion, right?
Just a couple of years ago, and then Trump got it all the way up to $1 trillion for his first year.
Trump bumped it up to $1 trillion.
Yeah,
yes.
Which under Biden the last year it was 907 billion. So to go from there to $1 trillion wasn't a huge jump, but it was Trump likes numbers, like round numbers that are fun to say. So he was really proud of $1 trillion. And then him and Hegseth came up with the idea to go 1.5 trillion. Apparently, the people running the budget in the White House were even like, we don't need that. Like that's ridiculous. But Trump, probably, rubbing the back of the defense contractor industry, what is it called? The military industrial complex for probably, they gave him donations and so he's going to pay it back. But now they don't know where to spend that money, which is kind of hysterical. Like they're looking around because he said we're going to do 1.5, but now they have to actually turn in a budget, and that budget has to show where this money is going to go. And now that they're putting it on paper, it's like, it's kind of hard to explain where an extra $500 billion is going to go, but They'll do it. They'll just BS some stuff, and then the Republican Congress.
That has to go through Congress, right?
It does.
Yeah.
So we'll see.
But the Congress seems to always pass defense budgets, an increase in defense budgets every single time, right?
Yeah.
Is it 100% at this point?
Yeah, and they also don't really care about auditing the defense, like the Pentagon. Like auditing
They
the Pentagon.
failed their last like 7 or 8 audits.
When Doge was doing the whole, we're auditing and we're taking money away from all these different parts of the government, a lot of people were like, yeah, do the Pentagon next. And Elon even said a couple times, like, the Pentagon better look out. And then they never touch the Pentagon in any way, shape, or form. So anyhow, we got that going for us. Speaking of Elon real quick, did you hear that in Georgia, they did it? They proved mass scale voter fraud by an immigrant, no less. Have you seen anything about this?
No.
Oh, dude. So there was an immigrant that wasn't even born here that I'm talking tens of thousands of illegal ballots.
Okay.
Can you guess the name of this immigrant?
Oh, shit. Is it Elon Musk?
It is Elon Musk. So
what? Okay.
All right. So this story, first of all, there is a video of the Board of Elections, the Board of Elections group in Georgia announcing their finding, but it's really long and it wasn't worth pulling. But the gist of it is, this is the headline. Turns out there was voter fraud in Georgia by Elon Musk. The state board of elections found that Musk PAC sent pre-filled ballot applications. Basically what they were doing was filling out every part of the ballot, like voting, checking the boxes. You're voting for Trump, you're voting for the Republicans, and all that was left was to sign it. And they were sending this to tens of thousands of Republican voters or swing voters, whoever, just voters, and saying, here, just sign this, and this is your ballot, you're voting Republican. Incredibly against the law. Incredibly.
How come this is the first time we're hearing about this?
So it turns out they discovered it in 2024, and we never heard about it till now. And I guess they had to announce the finding on it and what they were going to do. Let me read this to you real quick.
But I mean, if I got a ballot in the mail that was like pre-filled out, I'm pretty sure I would call the local news.
People were calling. They were calling the local news. They were calling the government, like the board of elections, to be like, "Hey, this is what I got in the mail." So the election happened at the beginning of November 2024. Real quick, this says, in October 2024, the Georgia Secretary of State's office launched an investigation after receiving numerous reports from residents across several counties saying they'd received partially pre-filled absentee ballots applications from Musk's America PAC, according to John Fervier, the state election board's chairman. There was evidence to suggest America PAC had violated state law that prohibits any person or entity other than an authorized relative to send an elector an absentee ballot pre-filled with the elector's required information, according to Janice Johnston. So he actually also was pre-filling their part of it out, like their name, social security, whatever. Filled it all you got to do is sign. America PAC also failed to display a conspicuous location that this was not an official government publication, was not provided by the government, and was not sent, and was not a ballot, Johnson added. Finishing out this real quick.
Let's send Elon to jail so that Trump can pardon him.
So they're not, but here's what they're going to do. The board swiftly voted to issue a letter of reprimand to the America PAC. This letter comes weeks after Donald Trump suggested his director of national intelligence, Tulsi Gabbard, was spotted lurking around a federal raid at the election office in Fulton County because she was investigating foreign interference in elections. Turns out, there was interference. Are
any of them going to get like in trouble for anything that they're doing? Because they're all of them are breaking the law.
Yeah.
That's a federal crime, isn't it?
It said there it was a state crime. He violated state voting laws. So I would think that let me just say this, there's a Republican governor, Secretary of State, Lieutenant Governor, all that in Georgia. If it turned out a Democrat had done the exact same thing, was sending pre-filled ballots, all you got to do is sign your name, that person would be going and be arrested. They'd be on trial. They'd be facing jail time. Musk is getting a letter of reprimand. So, okay, yeah, and they knew it before the election. Like
money rules the world, man.
That's ridiculous. I don't even know. Like now conspiracy theory time. Like,
love it.
I guess you would think that people knew that this was going to come out eventually because we had no clue this was happening. So eventually the citizens are going to find out Musk did this, right? Maybe there'll be people demanding a further investigation, with charges filed. What could you do to help protect Musk at this point if you're the federal government?
Nothing if it's state, right?
Nah, well, what you could do is you could seize those ballots. All those pre-filled ballots are not in the possession of Georgia anymore. They got loaded onto trucks and are at one of the FBI offices in Virginia. So those ballots are gone. Now, that's conspiracy theory time. I'm not saying that I have any proof of any of that. I'm just saying that if at this point somebody say there was a Fulton County DA that said, oh my, we're going to investigate this. That's a violation of the law. We can charge him under this. You can't do it if you don't have those ballots, can you?
Yeah. Interesting.
Where's the evidence? Show me one of the ballots that's pre-filled. Oh, you can't?
Interesting.
You can't because they're gone? That's a shame. Just throwing that out. I have no proof of that whatsoever.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah. Then that just, I don't even know. It seems like that. It's like that should be illegal and we should be able to do something about that, but we can't. I guess like there's got to be a statute of limitations on that. And the Georgia, oh, you know what? I don't know when Kemp is up. Kemp's the governor of Georgia, and I don't think he's up this time. But I guess if ever there was a Democratic governor that came in during the time period where the statute of limitations hasn't expired, I guess maybe then he could get charged. But like, also remember he was giving away like $1 million at a time to people, and that was supposedly illegal. But one court in I think it was Pennsylvania said, "Oh, he can't do that anymore, but we're not going to punish him for it. He just can't do it anymore." But it's like Musk getting involved broke the law in a couple different ways and got off scot-free. He bought an election and he won. So.
And the thing is like, let's just say like 2028 Democrat wins, they're not going to go after any of these people.
No, and now seeing what Musk did, like, is there a chance that on both sides now people are like, if all we're going to get is a letter of reprimand, then start sending out the pre-filled ballots, like, right?
I mean, this is where democracy dies. Democracy is dying in front of our eyes right now.
Yeah. It's a fun one.
And it's because of corruption and money.
Yeah.
Fuck.
Yeah. That just I've been reading about the Elon thing all weekend, and they barely been mentioned on the news. Like it's kind of hysterical. It's like this is just there's too much other stuff going on right now. We don't have time to talk about Elon breaking election laws. Like all the articles I read just said tens of thousands of pre-filled ballots. Is that 90,000 pre-filled ballots? Like, I don't know how much Trump won Georgia by, but like, this is calling it into question now.
I thought he needed 1,000 something votes.
No, that was in 2020. He needed
Oh, that's right.
11,780 votes, I think is what it was. Let me just check. How much did Trump win Georgia? Win Georgia by in 2024. It's a margin of 2.2%. So I'm going to say that's more than 90,000 votes.
Georgia's, yeah, they're probably pretty big.
So it was 2,663,000 to 2,548,000. So 114,000 is what he won by. Anyhow, yeah.
I have a feeling there's more to that.
It's interesting, isn't it? So
it is.
And then
this is cheating. I mean, and he projects, right? He said that the Democrats cheated, and we even watched the video earlier. He said, I won by a lot, by a landslide.
Too big to rig.
Too big to rig.
Yep.
But they cheated anyway. And he projects. Everything he projects is what he's actually doing. It's kind of weird.
The way they say it is every accusation is an admission. And that's, true. So, on another, I only got one little comment on this, but I didn't have a lot on Epstein. This is very interesting. So I read about this, and I can't remember the lady that it's from, but below the email at the bottom came first, and she's basically explaining some people she's going to hook Epstein up with, and she's explaining who all these people are. One of them, Aliciza or something like that, is a film director. She's working on human rights VR movie. Epstein says above, your friend Eliza told me about the project she's doing, researching a really bad guy that gets children for sex sent to his island. She almost fainted when I told her that person is me. This is in 2018. Like, at this point, like that, we don't need to see anything else. Like, he's admitting it right there. And I don't, maybe you can't tell tone. Maybe he's being funny. I don't know. But that's really interesting right there. There's still people online. There's a guy named Michael Tracy. I don't know if you've been paying attention to this guy. Michael Tracy has been debating Dave Smith and all these different people. And to this day, up till a minute ago, he is saying, yeah, look, the Epstein files are a total dud. There's no evidence of children being trafficked. There's no evidence of it. And he's like, yeah, it's a total nothing burger. And every time I see this guy, I'm just like, how can he still be saying it with all the emails we have out? But I guarantee you, even with this one came out earlier today, he's still going to be saying, yeah, it's a nothing burger. There were no children involved. Anyhow, Epstein.
Except for all the children that are now 40 and 50 years old coming out and saying that they were trafficked by Epstein.
Yep.
Prince Andrew going to jail. Is he in
Which
jail now?
he's not even going to jail for anything involving like women. He's going in something about using his influence corruptly or some
Oh
weird
yeah,
charge. Yeah.
because he was on like the finance board or something, and he
Yeah.
he gave Epstein tips on uh
Basically a financial crime. Yeah. That's what
yeah.
what he's going down for. So
He's not even a
anyhow,
prince anymore. He's just Andrew.
he's just good old Andrew. Um, I do have a couple MAHA things for you real quick. Do you have anything you want to get to before I dive into MAHA?
Oh yeah. Um, so the first thing I wanted to talk about was have you seen what's been going on in Mexico?
Mexico and Cuba. We've totally neglected what's going on in Cuba, but we'll start with Mexico today. What I'll let you lead on this.
So it popped up on I actually went to Twitter or yeah, X today, which I very rarely do, and I just start seeing Puerto Vallarta on fire
Just smoke
and
everywhere.
smoke everywhere, and I was like, what is going on? It said like Canadian and American tourists are advised to shelter in place.
Hmm.
And it's like, what is going on? Apparently, we helped Mexico capture the leader of the CJNG cartel.
It's amazing how you're close to right on some of that. So we didn't capture him. He's dead. He
Okay,
died
we killed
he
him.
died in a firefight. What was his name? Do you have it's El Mencho or something like that? I
El
can't.
Mencho is what he
El
goes
Mencho is
by.
what he goes
Yeah.
by. He runs what is an offshoot of the Sinaloa cartel. Like him and a couple people broke off from the Sinaloa cartel and are now like rivals against them. So it's like they're one of the two major cartels in Mexico. They control like 23 out of 35 states in Mexico. Like they're if you see any of the videos, their military is like it's a military. Like
Yeah.
if you looked at them, you would think that was a nation's military. They got tanks and armored vehicles and tactical gear. Like they don't look like thugs with AK-47s. Like these guys have got night vision goggles and stuff. So at first it came out that Mexico had done an operation and had killed him, and now the cartel is fighting back. And then Laura Loomer, I think, was the first to do it, but she tweeted like, "Yes, the U.S. just took out the leader of the what was it, C something CJ whatever cartel,
CJNG.
CJNG." But she said the U.S. did this, and then Mexico's ambassador came out and quote tweeted her and was like, "This was done by the Mexican military and police." No American forces had anything to do with this.
Oh, okay.
And here's the thing: if you're America and you had a little bit to do with this, but it appears we did share intelligence with them, so we were helping. But you would like the thing would be you'd want this to be covert. You wouldn't want the cartel to know that America had anything to do with this because then the cartel has a reason to hunt down Americans in Mexico or strike back doing things over the border and into America to make us pay for helping. So this should have been really covert. Trump can't help himself. He wants all the credit in the world for it. So Loomer tweeted first that she said like America did it themselves. The Mexico ambassador said, no, this was all us. And then a lot of different reporters started getting bits and pieces. And it appears we shared valuable intelligence with them to, I guess, probably where the guy was or, stuff like that. So we helped a little bit, which is awesome.
Yeah.
I'm glad we did. I wish we would have and kept our mouth shut about it so the cartel wouldn't be mad at us. But now after a while, finally, Carolyn Levitt came out with a statement basically saying that we shared valuable intelligence with them and blah, 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 blah.
Yeah, and from what I was reading earlier, like when this happens, something like this happens to the cartels kind of fracture off and split into different groups, and it makes just more of a mess for us and Mexico.
It's going to cause a power struggle or a power vacuum, I don't know what you call it, where now there's going to be fights over who the new leader of this cartel is. It'll be messy. It's definitely going to be messy. Now, I don't think that means you don't go after the cartels. Like, I get what you're saying, but that's almost like, oh, well, if we take out the cartel, it could cause, then we need to. The cartels are bad. They should be dealt with.
Sure. Yes, I agree with that 100%. We need to take care of the cartels. We need to but there's got to be a better way, right? Like you could pinch off their money supply in a way that would hurt them so bad that they couldn't exist anymore, right? As opposed to going in and like having a gunfight and killing the leader and then making more of a, the power vacuum mess that's going to happen.
Yeah. I'll bet that their intent wasn't to go in and have a gunfight. I'll bet they had a plan where they thought if everything goes right, we can grab him. And then most likely everything didn't go right. Something went wrong at a key part, and a firefight broke out, and he ended up getting killed. That was
you can't. We've already learned that you cannot like capture the leader of a cartel and hold them in prison because they have like they own the prisons.
yeah. El Chapo got out. Like
Yeah,
so.
remember?
Anyhow, but yeah, no, that was scary. They were like, apparently they went straight for the resorts. Like the cartels were targeting like Playa del Carmen, maybe places like that. They were going for because they knew there'd be American tourists there. So I don't
own the resorts.
Yeah, I haven't heard of any American deaths yet, but this has been going on all day, and we probably won't. If we get out of this with no American deaths and no Americans being kidnapped for ransom, like that'll be awesome. But like I would almost brace yourself that we might start hearing about that tomorrow. Just
Well,
FYI.
apparently there's a lot of Canadians there right now too. Like Canada, the Canadian news cycle was kind of going on about like, hey, just stay in place. We're gonna figure this out. We're gonna get you guys out of here. Like,
what? The Canadians, by the way, their travel to Mexico has like doubled because they're not going to America anymore. So they're flying over America to Mexico because that's where they go for holiday now. So, but that, and then also there's a whole thing that we've been ignoring. It's like one of those under the radar things, but we're basically doing an embargo on Cuba right now, trying to force them to a negotiating table. And we've cut off all oil from entering the country. There is like a big deal going on right now where people are like, there's no electricity. People are starving. Like we're hurting the civilians down there to try to get their government to negotiate with us. Mexico has basically said, hey, we're not cool with this. Like civilians are hurting. We're going to help them. And they're trying to ship oil and other goods into the country to alleviate the pain. And we're now threatening Mexico. Like if they try to send a ship in, like we're going to confiscate it or, seize it or whatever. And
didn't Russia do the same thing? Give them a tanker of oil and like some food and stuff.
So I remember they were trying to do that to Venezuela while we had the blockade going on, but I don't think they've ever tried it to Cuba. Apparently Marco Rubio is having like secret backdoor negotiations with the leader of Cuba is Raul Castro, Castro's brother. And he's having secret negotiations with that guy's son. And it's basically, from what it sounds like, it's basically like, hey, help us take your dad out and you can be the leader, which is almost like some mob movie type stuff. But apparently that's what's going on behind the scenes. I don't know if that's true. That's what's being reported.
Okay.
So,
interesting.
But we are causing like famine in Cuba right now and just not being talked about. Like the people down there are suffering and no big deal. So just throwing that out there. As far as MAHA goes, though, we talked last time about Robert F. Kennedy and Kid Rock's little video.
Oh, God.
Thank God for the Rolling Stone. Let me tell you.
His RFK Jr. a never nude.
This is from Rolling Stone, and they did a full article about he might be a never nude. We never see him without the jeans.
I don't want to see him without the jeans, but I'm guessing his legs are ugly.
So that's the thing. I don't know that we've ever seen him in shorts.
Yeah, I'm guessing his legs are ugly. That's my guess.
Okay, maybe he's like fully tatted up. Maybe he's got tattoos everywhere on his legs. I don't know. That
could be it.
I just appreciate Rolling Stone for this article. But so when it comes to MAHA, what was it last time we had? What was the big MAHA thing? I can't even remember now. There's been a couple of them.
What did we talk about?
Oh, glyphosate. Glyphosate. Sorry.
Oh, yeah.
There's so many things with MAHA are happening this week. I can't remember what we already talked about. So glyphosate, they're going to do the Defense Production Act to protect makers of glyphosate from being sued. MAHA's a little bit upset about that. Food colors is another one. This is from, I can't remember what newspaper this is from. Anger as Trump's FDA retreats from its plan to ban artificial colors in food is the headline. It goes on a little bit here. I just want to read this real quick. Experts say new labeling could deceive customers as dangerous substances are still allowed under new rules. In a further retreat from its pledge to ban artificial dyes from food, Donald Trump's Food and Drug Administration announced that it would loosen labeling requirements to allow companies to state no artificial colors, even though products may contain some dangerous substances such as titanium dioxide. So
what?
Yeah. So
this is the whole opposite of what MAHA is supposed to be. What and oh my gosh, this is driving me insane. Like
yeah,
they're just going to allow the food companies to poison us.
yeah. So they're going to allow the pesticide or Roundup, the
Yeah.
glyphosate. They're going to allow that. They're gonna allow the food code. Now, here's the thing. I've watched a couple different people that are doctors online. I don't know if they're right or not, but I see a lot of these videos where it's like, MAHA is saying that, oh, red dye, 57 or whatever the red dye is. Like it's allowed here, but it's not allowed in Europe. Blah, they get all mad about that. But then a smart person, a doctor, will say, hey, they use the exact same thing in Europe. They just don't call it red dye 57. They call it by its technical name. It's some long word that I can't pronounce. So I keep seeing that where like we keep saying that all these things are banned in Europe, but they're actually not banned in Europe. Also,
Europe is a lot more strict on what they're doing. And also, we didn't go over this, but it just popped in my head. But
okay.
Monsanto, so we allow Monsanto to operate the way it's operating, which is poisoning the American people.
Okay.
And, we could look at the farmers and be like, hey, like the farmers could not buy from Monsanto, but Monsanto has a stranglehold on the farmers. They control the seeds, right? So the farmers have to buy the seeds from Monsanto because these are the best seeds you can get. And the seeds you can't replant the seeds from these corn to make more plants. So every year you have to buy them. But with that contract, you also have to buy buy so much Roundup and so much of their fertilizer, and you have to buy all their stuff to get their seeds. You can't just buy their seeds. Yeah.
I think you should also say they're allegedly poisoning us. I know you feel strongly about this, but just, allegedly is a word we should start using.
We're being poisoned.
Allegedly. That's what I'm going to say. So we got that glyphosate fully protected from any lawsuit. Food coloring back in it never was out of our foods, but they were saying that they were going to put new rules about food coloring in. Apparently that's not happening now. The other thing that's interesting, the EPA is allowing coal-burning power plants to release more heavy metals like mercury, a powerful neurotoxin linked to brain damage. That's from the New York Times. RFK, I remember specifically talking about mercury a lot. Like when he was on the Joe Rogan podcast, a lot of it had to do with mercury. And
didn't he have mercury poisoning at one point?
He might. I can't remember that. He's had a lot of fun stuff. He snorted coke off a toilet.
Brain worms.
Yeah.
He injected mercury to get rid of the brain worms.
Something. But so right there, we're relaxing the standards on coal. Trump always talks about clean coal. Well, now they don't have to be so clean. Interesting. I found a little map here of the coal power plants in America. So there's different colored circles there. The black ones, I can't say that word, bituminous coal. Bituminous coal is the worst kind of coal for us. It is 45 to 86% carbon release, which is bad for us, bad for the environment. So anywhere between 45 to 86. That's a big range right there. The brown is cleaner coal. It's called sub-bituminous coal, which just burns cleaner, and it's only 35 to 45% carbon release. So luckily for me, because right around where I'm at in Oklahoma, there's several of those brown dots. But that's the sub-bituminous, which is slightly cleaner. The big black ones are the ones that apparently just letting it all hang out.
Wait, but which one's the clean coal?
The dark brown is what Trump refers to as clean coal. The dark brown one.
But it's still releasing 35 to 45%.
35 to 45%. Yeah.
And that's considered clean?
That's considered that's cleaner. And then, like I said, the black one is 45 to 86%. The other coal could be two different types of coal. One of them we do use in America. One of them we don't really use in America, but it doesn't put out a lot of carbon, and it's also not very good. Like the only reason we use it is because they're like that coal happens to be right there where that plant is, so it's cheaper to use a lot of that than train in or truck in the other kind of coal. So
man, the East Coast is just littered with these nasty coal plants, huh?
It's the Ohio River Valley, like right there between like Tennessee and Kentucky and Ohio and Illinois. Yeah. Like they're everywhere. And then through West Virginia, Florida's got all the ones in Florida are the bad ones. So and then you go out west and out west, they figured out how to use like wind and turbines from dams and nuclear, and there's not many of them out there. But
Well, it looks like California only has one small bituminous coal mine.
yep. So anyhow,
Oregon and Washington. Oregon has one brown one, and Washington has one big brown one.
yep. So anyhow, back to the breaking news. The EPA is allowing coal-burning power plants to release more heavy metals like mercury. So that is what it used to be, and now they're loosening the rules to where a lot of those brown dots are about to start turning blacker. So
Do you think that like RFK is like trying to fight back, or do you think this was just a whole grift from him the whole time? He just wanted the power, and so he found a way to like capture an audience with the because I mean, but he was an environmental lawyer at one point.
it doesn't make sense to me for a variety of reasons. It just doesn't make sense to me. The thing about RFK is like if he really was after power, like in status and power, let's just say, like this would be a perfect time for him to like stand on principle and say, hey, this isn't what I signed up for, and leave the administration. His MAHA movement would grow. Like I truly believe his MAHA movement would be more powerful than ever, and he would hold some sway in whoever the next president's going to be. He would have a decent little chunk. Let's say 3 or 4%, but that's still a huge when it comes to the presidential election. If you control 3 or 4% of the electorate, that's a big deal. And he could say, hey, whoever's going to be the next president has to listen to our list of what we want done, or else we're not going to support you. And he could get things done that way. Like, so I don't think it's about power. He's passing up the opportunity for power. Money, everything's conspiracy theory brain now, but like it makes me immediately go like, what do they have on him? What do they have on him to where he's going to let this happen and not fight against it? Like that's my first thought, which that shouldn't be our first thought, but sadly that's immediately where my brain goes.
Yeah, is he in the Epstein files?
Well, he is, but he was one of the only smart ones that got way out in front of that. And they asked him about it at one point, and he was like, "Oh yeah," he's like, "I flew on the jet a couple times."
Dinosaur bones.
But he had the best answer on that because he was like, "Oh yeah," he's like, I was on the jet multiple times. I hung out with them. Oh, by the way, I also hung out with Bill Cosby and I hung out with Weinstein. Like he just listed, and he just got it all out there. He got out in front of the news to where now if his name pops up in anything, he'll go, "Yeah, I admitted that. I told you guys that." And more people should be smart like him when it comes to that. But I don't get it. So his wife was on Rogan a week and a half ago, and during that, it kind of slipped out that RFK is going to be on Rogan in like the next 2 or 3 weeks. And like even at the time, Joe was like, we shouldn't have said that. Now people know you're coming on. But it makes me wonder if that was planned, knowing all this is about to happen, so he can have, because Joe's going to help him change the narrative and make it look good. So like it's going to be real interesting after all that those two have talked about the MAHA stuff. If they try to basically spin for the White House and make it look like, oh no, well really what's happening here. And
yeah,
I think that's it's gonna be a 3-hour long commercial for Trump as far as like, no, this is actually good for you, MAHA. Like that's what they're gonna try to do.
Because we have the glyphosate, we have the food coloring, we have coal, we have like the open road stuff, like all the stuff that's horrible for the environment. They're just trying to like, I don't know, decimate the environment for profit?
I mean, if you're MAHA right now, he has drastically reduced the vaccine schedule, like the childhood vaccine schedule. So that's a win for MAHA if that's what they cared about, was the vaccines.
Okay. Yeah.
So he's done that. And then he reoriented the food pyramid, which from everything I've seen, that was done 8 years ago.
Yeah.
But he just kind of rebranded it and showed, here's what we're doing.
And also the pyramid upside down.
Yeah, the whole pyramid upside down thing is pretty much what he did, and that was kind of already done. But okay, let's say that he reoriented the food pyramid and he drastically limited the childhood vaccine schedule. So those are 2 wins for MAHA. All this other stuff is kind of core MAHA stuff, I thought. Even the brother and sister, Callie and Casey Means, I can never remember which one the brother is of those 2, but whichever one the brother is, he's been on Twitter going off. He's like, this is not MAHA. Like, he's pissed about it. That's the only thing that's giving me a little bit of happiness here, is that it seems like there's a lot of MAHA people on Twitter, which, again, Twitter is not the real world, but MAHA people on Twitter are not cool with this. Like, they're speaking up about how they were so pissed about this. So I'll give them credit for that.
Huh.
They're at least standing up for what they believe in, even if I don't agree with all of it. They're standing up for what they believe in. So
Okay, interesting.
I don't know. I don't know. And also, it seems like the senator from Louisiana, oh, not Kennedy, but the other one. I can remember. He's the head of like the HHS committee in the Senate. Bill
Okay.
Cassidy. Bill Cassidy has signaled that he's requested RFK come in front of his committee for a deposition or for a hearing, and he's putting out all the feelers that like he's done. Like he made RFK promise him a couple different things in order to get approved. And RFK has turned out lied about all that. So Cassidy feels taken advantage of. Also, Cassidy was kind of playing along because he wanted Donald Trump's endorsement to be a senator again to win his next election. And Trump ended up endorsing his opponent. So now he's got nothing left to lose. He's basically, this is his last term. He can go ahead and go off on RFK. So we'll be seeing that in the next couple of weeks, theoretically. So other than that, it is a mystery to me. Like, I'm very curious how RFK is like. When it comes to like Elon Musk, I'm gonna sidetrack us, but when it comes to Elon Musk and his whole like we have to become an interplanetary species crap, like I don't think that's correct. But also, like, I fully believe that Elon believes that. Like, I don't think he's lying. In his brain, he fully believes that is imperative that we do that.
I don't think he does. I mean, if he actually thought that, he would start trials on the moon, maybe.
Well,
because he could probably easily get to the moon, and
that's what he's doing now. He changed. Like I don't know if we even talked about this, but 2 or 3 weeks ago, he said the mission isn't Mars anymore; it's the moon first, and we're going to build a nuclear reactor on the moon and use it as like basically we're going to leave Earth and go to the moon and refuel, then leave the moon and go to Mars because that'll be easier because the moon has less gravity, so you burn less fuel in the takeoff. There's a whole reason why the moon has to be it's going to be our launch base to go to Mars, basically.
The thing is I've known that for the beginning. like how did he's been trying to do, he's like has all this information and technology, and he didn't think about this for the last 20 years or whatever he's been trying to get to fucking Mars.
I don't know. I don't know. I don't want to go down that rabbit hole right now, but
the more he talks, the more I think he's an idiot.
I think he's full of shit, is what I'll say. Like, I don't think he's an idiot, but I think that he says a lot of stuff to get the stock prices to go up, to make investors happy. I think he's playing that game. That's
like
a
Trump. He's good at marketing.
Yeah. So, but my analogy there that Trump believes that, like, I truly believe, or sorry, that Elon believes that. I truly believe that RFK believed what he was selling. Like, I don't think it was accurate, but I believe that he was being genuine in it. Like, he firmly believes that all these things cause cancer and are bad for us. Even when it comes to the vaccines and all, where I would be a person who would say that, hey, according to most of the doctors, this stuff's all been tested and it's not causing autism. Yeah. But I believe that RFK truly believes it is causing autism. Like, I don't think he's being deceptive here. But now I don't think that. I don't know what to believe right now. Like, up until all this last week and a half, when as far as MAHA is concerned, has just been terrible. And like, it makes me question, like, was RFK full of shit the whole time? I don't know. I don't know how I feel about it. I'm confused.
RFK is kind of confusing because like, what is he after? What is his motive? He's got money. He's got notoriety. He's got money. He's got the Kennedy name. He was raising falcons as a child. Like, this guy.
Yeah.
What is he after? Does he just want to be in the spotlight?
I don't know. But again, he could be like, if he made a stand right now and said, this is bullshit, I'm out of here, he would have more power. He'd be in a bigger spotlight. Like, I think it would be great for him if he did that. And I can't figure out why he's not taking that opportunity.
Maybe he's holding on because he does have the spotlight. I mean, he just made a video with Kid Rock that got billions of views.
Got laughed at by the majority of people watching it.
Yes.
I don't know how many people watched that and they were like, "Oh, this is so cool. I'm going to go work out." Like, I don't think that happened.
Let me put on my workout jeans.
Jesus. Anyhow,
jump in the cold plunge.
Yeah.
Like RFK.
It's going to be interesting to see what happens with RFK. Like, I don't watch a lot of the Joe Rogan podcast anymore, but like, I'll watch the entire one with RFK because I'm very curious. I think he's going to spin it. I think he's going to try to explain why we're doing all this and why it's actually good that we're doing all this. And I think Rogan's going to help him. I don't think there's any chance in hell that Rogan pushes back and says, "Hey, but you said this is killing people." I don't think that's going to happen.
Yeah, you're probably right. I don't know. I just saw that Rogan's numbers are tanking. So I don't know if he's having RFK on to boost the numbers or if he might flip his stance on stuff again. Because I mean, it just seems like all these fucking assholes are grifters.
I haven't seen the numbers themselves, but I've heard other podcasters talk about what's going on with Joe's numbers. So I don't know how true what I'm hearing is, I'll just say.
Okay.
But apparently when he started saying the stuff like, man, ICE is running around like the Gestapo asking for people's papers. And like, we don't want him to go to Home Depot parking lots and get day laborers. Like when he started criticizing all that, his numbers started to tank because like the only people left watching were very pro-Trump. They're MAGA people. And now Joe's saying stuff that hurts their brains and ears. Like he's disagreeing with Trump. They don't like it. His numbers started to tank. And then that's when he kind of went full back on the MAGA. Because he's trying to get those people back now. And that's part of why I think that he's going to try to help RFK and bring the coalition back together because his numbers depend on that. It's called audience capture, but like that's what he's a victim of right now. Is the only people listening want him to say that Trump is right and all this stuff, and if he says anything other than that, they're going to stop listening. And the left isn't going back anytime soon. Like if he suddenly makes a shift, this is all very calculated by him, in my opinion. If he suddenly makes a shift and becomes more of a centrist or even a little leaning left, like his listeners are going to flee, the ones that are MAGA, and the left-leaning ones aren't coming back. They're not going to believe it for quite a while. Maybe eventually they come back. So if he wants to continue having one of the top podcasts, he clearly absolutely has to do pro-MAGA stuff. Like that's the only way forward for him right now.
I was such a huge fan of his. I mean, I listened to like almost all of his podcasts at one point in time. When I was working an hour away, so I had time in the car to listen to all his podcasts, and they were so good. He was so genuine and like actually made sense when he talked. And then the pandemic happened, and I think the pandemic broke his brain.
The pandemic radicalized people in all types of different ways. Like it happened on the left and on the right. Like it was a big, it was like a line in the sand where you pick if you're on this side or that side, and whatever side you're on, you're getting ready to go to battle for your side. Like that, I don't know how that happened, but it did. But the thing about Rogan is he always talks about having FU money, the kind of money where you can do whatever you want. Like, and he used to talk about it on his podcast where he'd be like, oh yeah, I can have on whoever I want. If it's somebody I find fascinating, I don't care if, if I had a boss, they would probably say not to have this guy because nobody will care. No, I want to have him on. I'm going to do it. And it's like, where did the FU money go, man? Like you don't have that anymore, I guess. Because
he does way more FU money.
He's not acting like it though. Like he's very. And also, you bring up a good point though about his podcast. Me and you both used to listen to Rogan, and we'd call each other and be like, "Oh man, did you hear Rogan with this guy?" The big difference is those were hardly ever political. Hardly ever. It would be a guy that studies ancient Egypt or something. It'd be a guy that does sports psychology or whatever. It was always something. My favorite episodes, Joe Rogan, were the ones where I would read the description and I'd go, oh, I don't know anything about this. And then I would listen to it and I would learn for 3 straight hours. I would learn something. And that was awesome. And now it's so annoying because even when he's having on an athlete, this will be good. Or he's having on a comedian, this will be good. No, they just talk about politics and COVID and the vax and that's all they. It's very annoying to me. Like, I just want to hear him talk about something not I'd go back. Like, there's ones where he'll have on, like, Shane Gillis, and I'm like, oh, Shane was on. Let me give this a listen. And not all the time, but, like, a good 25% of the time, they talk politics. And I'm just like, I just want to hear you and Shane be funny.
Yeah.
And it's very annoying.
I don't think he's that funny anymore. He's not even a comedian. When was the last time he came out with a special?
So his last one was on Netflix in, like, 2022, and it was called Burn the Boats. And it did not do well. And it was, I told you at the time, like, I was still like, I try to separate. Like, Tom Cruise is nuts. Like, all the stuff that Tom Cruise believes in, but he puts out good movies. I'll go watch a
Right.
Tom Cruise movie and I'll love every minute of it, but I can also think that Tom Cruise is nuts. That's how I'm trying to be with comedians, because I love comedy. So it's like, okay, even though Joe I don't agree with on political stuff, if he puts out a good special, I'll be more than happy to say it was a good special. Like, I'm all about.
He hasn't had a good special in a decade.
They've gotten worse and worse, but his last one was not that good at all. And the problem is, sorry, this is going to spin off into a comedy area. He correctly pointed out that all these comedians that were doing New York and LA, they knew what liberal audiences liked, but their stuff didn't play well in the middle of the country. And they never, and he would make a good point to say, hey, you got to get out on the road and go to every different part of the country and try your stuff out. And you'll see that some stuff works here that doesn't work here. And he was real big on that. Well, now he just does his club in Austin. The people that are going to his club are people that think like him. It's very MAGA people. So he'll tell jokes in there that are killing. He's on fire. And also, if you're going to Joe Rogan's club, you're going to see him. You're going to go nuts no matter what he says. So it's a problem of he's got so much money and he's doing his podcast and he's got his own comedy club. So he's not going to different spots around the country.
Yeah.
He's not going to be as good a comedian going forward. Like, until something happens where he goes out and just hits the road again and plays like some liberal audiences, like that, we've seen the end of Joe being a top 5 comedian. Like,
What liberal's going to want to go see Joe Rogan at this point?
Yeah. He's kind of dug himself. Yeah. It sucks. And there's comedians that do that on the left and the right. The best comedians, like Dave Chappelle, does a really good job of pissing off both sides. Yeah. And like, every time you think like, Dave Chappelle's kind of going right wing, and then he'll do, like, I saw a video just this week of Dave Chappelle in Minneapolis going up and laying like flowers down at like a makeshift memorial for Alex Preddy. And like, he put the flowers down and stood up and like stood over him, like shaking his head. Like, it was a very cool thing to see. And it's like, oh shit, like Dave's just going to call it out however it is. And Dave every now and then will say some shit that I'm not that comfortable with, but if he puts out a good album, I'm going to tell you if it's awesome. Like, that's how I feel it should be. Joe's made it hard to do that.
Yeah. And a lot of his comedian buddies too, they all kind of pigeonholed him.
Yeah.
Tom Segura has been good about just kind of staying out of that whole network of morons.
Yeah. I want Joe to have Tim Dillon on again soon. Tim Dillon's just been on fire recently.
Yeah.
I used to just see clips of him here and there, but now I'll watch his whole pod when it comes out, and he's doing the Lord's work right now. And I will say, Joe tweeted a link to, it was like 3 podcasts ago, the one that Tim Dillon put out, where he was calling Kash Patel and Dan Bongino liars. He was saying that Trump was covering. He was going off on the administration, and Trump tweeted out a link to it and said, everybody should watch this podcast by Tim Dillon. He's doing the Lord's work, or said something like that. And to me, I thought that was awesome, just because it was like, oh, hey, this is kind of Joe speaking up for that.
So Joe tweeted it out?
Yeah, Joe tweeted out the link to Tim Dillon's and said, everybody needs to watch this. And it was just him going off on them. So
yeah, I mean, you know who else? Like Duncan Trussell. He was always such a good guest on Rogan.
Now they just talk about.
I feel like he would talk. Yeah, I feel like Duncan would be on the left. Like he's very much a flower child, you know.
Yeah, but he's somehow not. So
he's on the right now.
Yeah, he's been on Joe like twice in the last year or two, or year and a half. And yeah, they sat there and they were very much in agreement with a lot.
God, dog.
Yeah. So anyhow, there's a lot of people watching this that are only into politics, have no clue who any of these names are. So I'm sorry about that. Real quick, I got 2 last quick things for you. One, did you see that we are sending help to Greenland? They're in trouble and we're helping them. Have you seen this?
Oh, I saw we had they helped us. They helped one of our
No. You got this all wrong, Docs.
Hold on.
We're sending help to them.
Oh, okay.
All right,
Like,
so
explain this to me, because I heard about the submarine. I didn't really look too much into it, but
let me give you the chronological order of how this went down real quick.
Okay.
Donald Trump recently tweeted this out. This was Saturday, I think. He said, working with the fantastic governor of Louisiana, Jeff Landry, we are going to send a great hospital boat to Greenland to take care of the many people who are sick and not being taken care of there. It's on the way. President DJT. Everybody was really confused about this. And he's got a little painting of a hospital boat there heading towards an ice wall, it looks like. So everybody's like, hold on.
Is a hospital boat actually a real thing?
Oh, we have 3 of them, apparently. apparently we have two that are like flat out hospital boats, and then we have a third that is it can be a hospital boat.
Okay.
But he tweeted this out. Everybody was really confused. Jennifer Griffin with Fox comes out within like a half an hour, and she's like, "Hey, we have two hospital boats, and they're both in dry dock in Alabama right now for repairs. Like, they're not going to be ready to go to sea for months at this point. Like, they're not ready." So what is he talking about? And then other people are confirming her reporting. It's like, is he just making stuff up? And then it did come out that that third boat is based right now in San Diego. So we're going to have to take that out of San Diego all the way down through Panama, all the way back up.
Wow.
But they said that's the boat we're sending. It's not really a hospital boat, but it can be a hospital boat. Okay, we're a little confused. In Greenland, they have healthcare, universal healthcare. Their people don't seem to be complaining about anything. So why are we sending help? Greenland's PM comes out and says, this is a quote from him, "It's a no thank you from here. President Trump's idea of sending an American hospital ship here to Greenland has been noted, but we have public healthcare system where treatment is free for citizens. That is a deliberate choice and a fundamental part of our society. That is not how it works in the USA, where it costs money to see a doctor. We are always open to dialogue and cooperation, also with the USA. But please talk to us instead of just making more or less a random statement on social media. Dialogue and cooperation. Dialogue and cooperation require respect for the fact that decisions about our country are made here at home." So that started with, "It's a no thank you from here." So again, we're confused. Why we're sending? We didn't know anything about a bunch of people in Greenland that are sick and can't get care. We're sending a hospital ship. This is all real nuts. And then about an hour later, we find out what appears to be the truth. There were many people posting about this. I couldn't find an article about it. There was a statement from Denmark. But early Saturday, the USS Delaware, a Virginia-class nuclear-powered attack sub, on a routine patrol in the northern Atlantic, was forced to surface off the coast of Greenland due to an onboard urgent medical emergency involving a submariner with the U.S. Navy. According to reports from Denmark's Joint Arctic Command, the service member was airlifted from the submarine by a Seahawk helicopter assigned to I can't even say it's a Danish word. It's assigned to a boat, a Thetis-class ocean patrol vessel of the Royal Danish Navy, advanced medical care at a hospital in Nuuk. So what happened? We had a guy in a submarine up near Greenland that needed urgent medical care. We put out a distress to our NATO allies saying, "Hey, can anybody help us get here?" Denmark, who owns Greenland and who we've been threatening, was nearby and said, "Hey, we'd love to help. We're NATO allies. What can we do?" They sent a helicopter. The helicopter lifted this guy off the sub and took him to Greenland, to Nuuk, Greenland, which is the capital, where the guy's in the hospital right now. I don't know if this makes sense, but it appears that Trump basically, this is what I'm guessing. It appears that Trump got the news that, oh shit, Denmark just had to bail us out with one of our guys who was sick. And he was afraid that people were going to make a big deal out of that. This is what I'm thinking. He thought people are going to say, "Oh, look, Denmark had to help us because, blah, blah, blah." And in his mind, he's like, what can we do to get out in front of this, to grab the narrative by the horns? So he announces he's sending a hospital ship to them to help with all their sick people. That's my theory on it. It doesn't make sense, but that's the best theory I can come up with.
Yeah, he's a complete and utter fool.
Can you think of any other? I've been trying to think, why would he have been doing this? But clearly he got the information that Denmark was helping get one of our submariners to a hospital. And then really quickly after that, he posted about the hospital ship. It doesn't make sense.
Any other president of the United States or leader of any other country, their statement would have been, Thank you, Denmark, for helping us with our,
sick
submariner.
It might be Submariner, actually. You might be right on that. I don't know.
Yeah, with our Submariner. I'm sure he's in good hands with your universal health care. Because if that guy actually dies, he's going to blame the universal health care system.
Yeah. And if they want to send a boat or a plane or something to get him and bring him back to America for medical care, I got no problem with that. Go ahead and do it. I don't think anybody would stop you.
If it was like a heart attack, you're not going to fly him.
Okay. I don't know what it was. No. Nobody knows what it was.
And I'm kind of confused. It was probably something very serious because, I would imagine that the submarine has an entire medical staff on it.
Probably, yeah.
Full
Gotta have
on
that.
medical staff, no matter what's going on.
Yeah.
They could take care of it unless he was like in real distress.
Very easy, yeah.
Like if he needs open heart surgery, they probably are not going to be able to do that.
Agreed. So yeah, it was what it doesn't matter what it was. We had an emergency. We put out a call to our allies. Denmark stepped up and helped out. This is what allies do for each other.
Thank you, Denmark.
That's all you got to do. Thank you. But that's the only way I can make it make sense in my mind is he thought this was going to be a negative for him that Denmark helped us. So he tried to, no, we're the ones sending them help. Like he tried to do that preemptively. Doesn't make sense, but that's all I got on it.
He's a child, man.
Yeah. So, but yeah, we are going to make this ship now because he said it. We're going to spend the money to make this ship go all the way down through Panama and back up around to Greenland to sit off their coast. They've already said they don't have anybody to send to our ship. Like there's no need. So now, but he's got to do it. He can't have the ship not actually go now. He said it. So they're going to send the ship there.
I don't know. He says a lot of things he doesn't follow through with.
That's true. I don't know. Anyhow, last thing I got for tonight, real quick. We haven't talked about DHS the last couple nights, but we got a story about a Karen here. Turns out this is a good Karen. This is a story that ran in, I can't remember the name of the paper, but it's like the biggest paper in the UK. This lady's name is Karen Newton. The title of this story is "Don't Go to the US, Not with Trump in Charge. The UK tourist with a valid visa detained by ICE for 6 weeks."
Oh my gosh.
Karen Newton was in America on the trip of a lifetime when she was shackled, transported, and held for weeks on end. With tourism to the U.S. under increasing strain, she says, "If it can happen to me, it can happen to anyone."
Wow.
In the story here, it says Karen has no criminal record. She is a grandmother who spent 8 years working as an admin assistant at a primary school before her retirement. "I don't even have parking tickets in the background anywhere," she says. "I'm not a dangerous criminal. I didn't enter the country illegally, and I had everything I needed to be there, meaning passport and visa. So why did ICE detain her and keep her locked up for so long?" A possible answer began to emerge over the weeks as she was incarcerated. As Karen got to know the guards at Northwest ICE Processing Center, where she was held, she kept hearing the same thing from them, that ICE officers are paid a bonus every time they detain someone. "Individual ICE agents get money per head that they detain. The guards told me that," Karen says. So that would make total sense. It doesn't have to actually lead to a deportation or an arrest, just to detain. Every person you bring into the building, you get a bonus. That would make so much sense for what we're seeing. So,
that's what Stephen Miller wanted. He wanted to beat Obama's numbers, and he can't.
That's so weird. But that's just detainments. Like the big number that you would look at is deportations.
Mm-hmm.
Like we're just detaining people. It doesn't make sense for a lot of reasons. And I want to be clear on this. I've read 5 different stories on this particular lady, Karen Newton. I'm trying to find, because there is a chance that in the next couple of days we're going to find out, like, oh, she was in a city. Let's say she was in Chicago, Minneapolis, one of those, and there was an ICE thing going on, and she became one of the people that ran up and was blowing a whistle or filming, getting in their face or whatever. Maybe she got involved in some kind of anti-ICE type thing.
Probably.
And that wouldn't make it right to hold her for 6 weeks, but like there might be something like that that hasn't come out yet, where we might see that and go, oh, okay, that's why they arrested her. Right now, the 5 different articles I could find about her, none of them listed anything like that. Like she just got scooped up, and that doesn't make sense at all. She's British.
You know what the Trump administration is going to say? She's a terrorist.
Yeah, she had the intent to kill ICE agents or something.
Yeah.
But
they let her go 6 weeks. They let her go.
So all I'm saying is, if something like that comes out in the next couple of days, I will be totally willing to revise my stance on this. But right now, with the information I have, what are we doing? Like, why for 6 weeks? Like she had her visa and passport on her in her pockets at the time, and we detained her for 6 weeks. That doesn't make any sense. What are we doing?
I mean, tourism is a big moneymaker in the United States.
I guess. Yeah, it is, but it's not in the last year. Tourism's way down in America.
Yeah. Let's see. Tourism dollars US. Let's see.
While you're looking that up real quick, there was a German soccer club that was supposed to come play here in St. Paul, Minnesota. They're part of the European League, but they were going to do some exhibition match here, and they just announced they're not coming anymore. They don't think it's safe. They don't think it's safe for their team to travel here. They're afraid somebody on their team's going to. Because
which country is it?
This is a team from Germany that's in like the European League, and all those European teams have people on their teams from Africa, South America. Like it's a mix of all kinds of different people, and they just said, "Hey, it's not worth it to risk this. Like we could have some of our players get locked up and sent to weird countries." So yeah. What are the numbers you got?
Let's see. So this is total. This is total revenue. It's expected to fall below 1.69 billion in 2025, down from 181 billion in 2024.
Yeah, so it's only down 20 billion. That's I know that's a lot of money, but that's not a huge drop.
We also have the FIFA World Cup, so that's going to bring in.
Yeah.
In 2024, travel and tourism generated 2.9 trillion in total economic output, supporting 15 million jobs.
Did it say what the 2025 total economic whatever number was?
Let's see, 2025 economic. Let's see, copy. 2025 tourism generated. Let's see. In 2025, total U.S. travel spending is projected to grow 1.1% to 1.35 trillion.
So that's what you just read is total travel something. We're talking about tourists coming in from other countries. I think the number you just read is
and tourism. Yeah, there's a lot of convoluted numbers here.
We'll look that up and have it for next time.
Yeah.
I know it's down, but from what you read that first thing, it doesn't seem like it's down that.
And
much.
this is overall. This is like if I travel to Texas.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah, we need to know foreign tourists.
Yeah, we'd have to dig in and see because I know like even people for work aren't coming over here from other countries to get jobs because they're afraid they're going to get deported.
It's a correct fear at the moment.
Yes.
So,
yes.
Yeah, we got 5 left. What's your last thing on the list here?
Oh man. All right, buddy. What do you like if you were gonna pick an FBI agent and you were gonna like what would be your ideal FBI agent? Like I'm thinking like somebody like Magnum PI, Tom Selleck.
Yeah.
Very serious, very, very down to earth, very, very straight-laced.
In reality, they're more like Nicolas Cage in The Rock. They're more of like a computer nerd, a paperwork guy.
Okay.
I think that's how they really are. I think they're like forensic audit type people.
Well, we had our FBI agent, you know him very well, Kash Patel.
Okay.
We had him go overseas to represent the United States as the FBI agent at the Olympics.
As the head of the FBI.
Do you want to see the highlight of his trip?
Real quick, before you even show me that, it was reported that he was flying to Italy to watch the gold medal hockey game, and the spokesperson for the FBI came out and said, "This is fake news. He's going over there to meet with Italian security officials, this and that." And then I'll just say this: he was spotted after the game, from what I understand.
He was spotted after the game.
All right, let's see your video. Yeah, that checks out. So I had actually seen that earlier today. And when it was us versus Canada, there was a small part of me that was like, I kind of want Canada to win. Just because I knew that Trump would be basically immature about it on social media. But I decided, no, America. Like I've been rooting for America throughout. So I set an alarm this morning to get up at 7 a.m. to watch that game. Watch the whole thing. It was a great game. I loved every second of it. And I was like, yeah, America. And like 2 hours later, I saw that video and it made me like, now I kind of wish Canada had won. So yeah. USA, baby.
I mean, that's just, that's our FBI agent.
FBI director.
Norway won the Olympics with 41 medals. The U.S. has 33.
Okay. Well, we
I
didn't
think
get
it's
second
over, right?
place.
Today was the last day. Yeah.
Today's the last day. They had the closing ceremony, so it's over. So, anyhow, all right, man. No more Olympics. Let's get ready to see what RFK says on Rogan. I guess that's what we have to look forward to.
Or not look forward to.
Yeah, I'm gonna watch it. So, all right. Have a great night, brother.
Later, man.
Later.
Sometimes you eat the bar, sometimes the bar eats you.